Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Women's Fittest. I'm super excited to have my guest today, IFBB pro, Katie Beck. She is a fitness pro, and quick funny story, the first person I ever talked to via phone.
Same. Yeah.
She accidentally called me on Instagram and I was like, oh, missed call from Katie. I'll call her back.
And I think it was was it like 9 or 10 o'clock at night? I mean, I'm like, which is an hour, you're an hour ahead of me. So, oh gosh, awful.
It was really funny, but then we ended up talking for like 20 minutes. I could hear JT, cooing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and I was like, hey, we should do a podcast.
It's so fun. And if you hear, he's right next to me right now. He's supposed to be going to sleep, but 2-month-old, he's got his own schedule and his own plans. So we'll see, but you might hear him in the background.
Yeah. I had reached out to you and I didn't realize how far along you were. And I was like, hey, do you want to do a podcast before you have your baby? And you're like, I'm due in 2 days. And I was like,
yes. I know. Well, and he came, we knew he was going to be a little early. So he was born at 38 weeks, which isn't, super early, but it was a planned C-section and that kind of thing. So we kind of knew he'd be a little early, but.
And now he's 8 weeks, right?
Yes. Just turned 9 weeks yesterday. So yeah. And he's growing and growing, but it's a first time mom over here. So it's been a crazy, fun journey. Mm-hmm.
So cool. You and my friend Becky, her Gaylor, I don't know what she was a client of mine, but she just had you guys both have little baby boys. I always see on my Instagram story.
Okay. I love all the baby pictures and dog pictures. I'm a dog picture fan. So if you have dogs, post them. I love seeing them. Anybody.
I know it kind of balances out I know that one of the reasons why I was like, oh, we're going to become best friends is we have two huge things in common, which we're both patriots and we're both Christians.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we like and share,
go hand in hand too, faith and freedom, 100%.
100%. Yeah. So we like and share a lot of the same stuff. So yeah, it's good to know where your tribe is.
Yeah. And I love that we, are both, we love freedom and we love faith and Christianity, but we're in completely separate parts of the country. So that's kind of fun too. Mm-hmm.
One of the beautiful things about social media is that it reminds me of the old days of Christians where they would kind of draw the fish in the sand to try to see what somebody's, were you on the side of God or on the side of Caesar, basically. And I think people put stuff in their bio and whatnot too, but then when you start watching their stories, I'm a big anti-abortion advocate as well, so you see a lot of that stuff in my story also.
Yeah, that's
kind of the hill I'll die on. Some of the other stuff is
well, I'm with you. I mean, I think you have to have conviction about it, and I'm a pro-life advocate, huge. I live in Texas, so a lot of people probably just assume that and gather that, but it really wouldn't matter where I live. I can go into my past experience on why I'm so pro-life. I'm happy to do that anytime, but yeah. I will always stand on that.
I think that's awesome. And you have to, be critical thinking and evaluate all the information that's out there and the science that's coming along and the morals that we were given through the Bible and put it all together and say, what makes the most sense as a Christian? Because, you can't always tick off all the boxes, especially politically when you're trying to pick a side, but what is the side that best coincides with what I believe, what I'm willing to put effort into, and that is going to do the most for everyone involved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm with you. I agree 100%.
Well, so I usually have a little bit more of a structure.
It doesn't matter. Fly by the seat of our pants.
to this. So I do want to, I think it's really great because I think people don't know, and I didn't know either. So you're 40 years old and you just had a baby. I want to talk about your fitness journey, and then we'll get into all that. So,
okay.
Usually I back up and say, like, what kind of sports did you play in high school? I love knowing the epigenetics behind, behind the athlete, and what kind of set them up to be a good bodybuilder, and, how you chose fitness and all that stuff. But go from the beginning.
Okay. Beginning. So that's a long, long time ago, but, my athletic journey really started when I was 3. That's when I started gymnastics. And so, which, of course, when people hear gymnastics, they go, oh, that's why you're in the fitness division. That's why you chose fitness. And that is true. But it took a long time for me to even find bodybuilding. So we'll get there. But started gymnastics when I was 3, and did that all the way through college. So I was 21 when I stopped. I also ran track for a little bit because I did take a little bit of a gymnastics hiatus, if you will, in high school. And so for 2 years. And so I did run track because honestly, I was so involved in gymnastics growing up. I was a one sport athlete since I started the sport. So I never really got to learn or play any other sports. I wouldn't say I regret that or am mad about it because it got me a lot of places, focusing on gymnastics. But track, it's like, oh, you just stay in between these 2 lines and run as fast as you can. So great. That's what we're doing. I didn't need to know any rules really, anything like that, or any other implements or objects involved. So did run track. I did. Go ahead.
I want to ask you one thing about that, because I think it's really interesting. There is a lot of discipline involved with gymnastics, and people that get their children involved in gymnastics, especially at such a young age, it really becomes like a second job, right? Like you're doing 4-hour practices after school. You have to learn to be very disciplined and structured. So yeah, I am curious about that, because I know a lot of girls, and it just kind of becomes their life. And you didn't feel like you took an opportunity to do track. You didn't feel like, though, looking back, like, do you wish that you had spread your branches a little bit more?
I do. And you are so right. You hit the nail on the head with how much of a commitment, and I'm sure there's a lot of sports like this, but my experience is gymnastics. So that's all I can really speak to. But I know high level gymnastics, that commitment's insane. So practices were 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Well, Saturdays were 8 to 1. So still 5 hours. And then 2 days a week, I would go in the morning from 5 to 7. So that was like a Tuesday, Thursday, I think, can't remember. But, you're going 5 to 7 a.m., get ready for school, go to school. I was actually not homeschooled. A lot of high level gymnasts are homeschooled. So they're even pulled from that environment, and you just are totally submerged into gymnastics. I would go to school. I did get out of school early every day. I don't remember a time I ever went to a full day of school, so that I could get back to practice 3 to 8 p.m. And then you just, rinse, repeat the next day. And we had Sundays off some of the year, but most of the year, that's when your competitions were. So, you really are kind of head deep in the sport, and it does teach you a lot of discipline. I got to travel the world. I made so many friends. I consider them my sisters, and my coaches. Thankfully, I had a really positive coaching experience my entire career of gymnastics. So they were kind of like my second parents, almost like my first parents, honestly. I think I spent more time with them than my biological parents, but I had a really positive experience. That's another thing, with the sport of gymnastics. You guys have probably heard in the news in the last few years, some of the coaching issues and administration issues that have happened. So there's a lot that's not great about the culture, but it sounds like they're working on fixing that.
Yeah, I think you get that with any sport that has a coach that's that involved with the children. There's potential to have, people who are predatory. Made me think of what you were talking about too. When we were trying to decide where to send Anna to school as well, I had wanted to at one point homeschool her, but knowing, by the time she was 5, we were going through a divorce. There was no way I was going to be able to homeschool her and provide for her.
Right.
So that was, something that, that I didn't do, but, we ended up, I sent her to private school, to the Christian school, And to me, it was just really important because I thought the same thing, like these are her second parents. And I want to make sure that they're teaching her from a moral perspective that coincides with what I would be teaching her if I had the opportunity to be with her for, 18 hours a day rather than just, 6 hours a day plus sleep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's crazy.
So you had a really good experience with gymnastics. You enjoyed track because it was simple, probably like reality TV is versus watching a documentary.
Yeah, exactly. That's really good. Good analogy. And it was simple. My body didn't hurt. I was like, this is fantastic. I'm not limping all over the place or my back aching as much, but
do you think that that's an element of it where it's like maybe they should have more breaks for recovery? Because we know now, even getting more into the sport of bodybuilding, where it was like, oh, train 6 days a week, 7 days a week. Now more people, especially if you're seasoned, are training like more like 4 days a week because they know how important this recovery time is.
Right. I think so. I think there's a lot to that. It's been so long since I've been, involved in that world of gymnastics. So I don't know if they're making changes to that part, maybe not training quite as often because there's tons of injuries and that's part of it. The person that wins is, the person that didn't really get as injured through the season too, sometimes, Yeah. So yeah, hopefully they're looking into that because I agree with it.
Yeah. So what happened next?
Graduated college and I went to grad school for 2 years. I did all of that in Wisconsin.
What were you going for?
So my bachelor's degree is in human performance. And then my master's degree is in sport administration.
Okay. What do you do with that? What was your goal to?
You really want very honestly, I loved fitness and I loved the world of sports and I loved, studying the human body and what happens to it when you're putting it through rigorous demands like exercise and, things like biomechanics and sports and how do you work with forces and make someone better at what they're doing or optimize the human body, I guess, if you will. But approaching the end of my bachelor's degree, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So it's like, I guess I'll keep going to school. That's what I'll do. Just stay a student. So that's what I did. And I thought, oh, well, this is cool. Sport administration. We did get into exercise physiology a little bit too. So some more of that, but just kind of into the world of sports marketing and sport management. A lot of people go into that and they want to be a sports agent. So they think I'm going to work with those high profile athletes and I'm going to be their agent and life's going to be really good. But that's not anything that interested me. But at the time I was doing a lot of work with Special Olympics and I'm from Maryland. That's where I was born and raised. And so I worked with Special Olympics in Maryland a lot. My dad was really involved in that organization. So I kind of tagged along a lot. And so I had a big interest in that. And so sport administration actually fits really well with that. They have a management side where you're managing competitions that they are hosting, but then also sports marketing side because they need, you need sponsorships and donors and all of that and people to attend all of your fundraising events. So I ended up working for them after I graduated from grad school in Maryland. So worked for them for a couple of years. That was in Maryland, but I'm in Texas now. So you're probably going, well, how did you get out there? My mom lives in Texas. So, and I'm her only kiddo. And I thought, I probably want to be closer to mom and Texas is cool. I love visiting Texas. I didn't realize how hot it was here. Because I never visited in the summertime. So that was a mistake coming from a place that has 4 seasons. You know what that's like.
I know. I always think about that if I ever would move. And I love, the thought of Texas because, like I said, guns, patriotism.
Oh yeah. Guns, God, and freedom. That's us. Right. Yeah.
Right. But I have been to Texas in the summertime and you like literally swim to your mailbox because in the summertime, the air is just thick.
It's bad. And even today, it's humid today and it's 75 degrees out right now. So, well, a lot of people probably love that, but I really, it's Christmas coming up. I'm supposed to have a jacket on outside, and I'm wearing short sleeves outside still, but I have my air conditioning on today.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Are your parents divorced then?
They are. Yeah, they got divorced early on. So I think I was, I can't even remember exactly, but I was kindergarten or first grade.
Okay.
Around that time frame when they divorced. So early on, and lived primarily with my mom, but saw my dad on weekends. So that's kind of how it was set up for me. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So Maryland to Texas, moved to Texas to be by your mom.
Yep. By my mom, got a job out here. I worked for Curves International.
Yeah. I mention Curves all the time because
loved it. Mm-hmm.
It was so great. I don't know, why did it go belly up?
So here's what happened. So I started working for them when they were headquartered here in Waco, Texas, of all places, an international company. I mean, worldwide. I mean, they were really, really big and growing still at the time, headquartered in little old Waco, Texas. But really thankful for that, because I was able to start working there and use a lot of my fitness knowledge for that. I was their director of fitness and research for a while. So that was really, really fun. But they were owned by a wonderful, wonderful couple, Gary and Diane Haven. Love them to pieces, and I learned so much from them. And they ended up wanting to sell the company. I can't, blame them. They want to, enjoy life and be able to do a lot of other things and have some more time. And so they sold to a private equity firm that purchased the company.
I have a question. Do you know them?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would love to interview them.
They're wonderful. Yeah, I mean, I don't talk to them super, super often, but on Facebook, we all kind of keep in touch, and they still live kind of in the Waco area, not exactly in Waco, but they're still in Texas. So
I would be so curious I had a membership at Curves. It was kind of like an introductory getting into fitness. And I always feel like, I felt like it was such a great idea. I mean, now when you go to a Planet Fitness, they do have that 30-minute circuit, or it's a minute and a half with the light. It's very similar. Mm-hmm. And I always encourage people to do that if they're just getting started. I think it's such a great way to just get started.
Yes, it was a wonderful way for women that just hadn't exercised ever, or for a really long time, didn't want to go to a gym. They didn't feel comfortable in a gym and didn't know what they were doing. You walk in, those machines are hydraulic resistance, extremely difficult, if even possible, to really get injured on that kind of equipment. I'm sure it could happen, but it's a lot harder.
It's like it's more, it's not jerky, right? That's the hydraulic.
And so hydraulic resistance, you're essentially moving fluid through a cylinder. And so it's kind of like if you're in a swimming pool and you start trying to run or walk really fast through the pool. That's what it's like. And the harder, or I guess the faster you try to go, the harder it is. So it's almost like moving their machines faster is, putting that little pin further down on the weight stack. It's making it heavier.
You can't. It's really funny because I had tried a couple of machines when I was at Planet Fitness the other day, because there's a row that has cables, and I really like that, but I was they have two other row machines, and they do have that hydraulic, and I was like, I freaking hate I hate it, but it's different for somebody who knows how to control the path of the bar or the cable versus somebody who, like you said, you're trying to prevent injury with. It's perfect for somebody like that. So
it's a great concept. Helped millions of women, get their life back, which was really, really exciting and really fun to be a part of. A private equity firm took over, and at the same time, that same firm acquired Jenny Craig, the diet company.
Sure.
And so there was some, I wouldn't say issues. I understand what they were wanting to do, which was combine Curves and Jenny Craig together. My time at Curves, we actually had created a diet program, a nutrition program for members. So it was, and it used real food that you get at the supermarket and you can make for your families. Jenny Craig is not bad. It works for a ton of people. It's just different, you know, shelf stable food.
Is that, I didn't even remember. I do remember the commercials with them. It kind of reminds me of Baskin Robbins and Dunkin' Donuts when they were always together, except
yeah, yeah, they occurred. So they combined them, and I think that there are still some Curves. I think it's literally called Curves Jenny Craig centers around the country.
What is the Jenny Craig food then?
What's that?
What is the Jenny Craig food then? It's not real food?
It's shelf stable food. Now, I don't know a lot now about it. So I'm sure that they've integrated more, and they probably have, you know, I'm guessing they probably have recipes that include real food. But at the time, what I had learned about it was it's pretty much shelf stable food that you purchase and they ship to you.
Okay.
And that's what you eat, not necessarily your family. So, you know, and that works. It's portion sizes, portion control for people. So it certainly could work for people, but it's not something that I personally would advocate for someone I might be training, you know, one-on-one. And especially women who typically are going to be moms or have families that they need to also feed, especially when you're looking at expenses, you know. So there's just a lot that goes into it. And my personal preference would not be to use that.
Yeah. That was very much an issue early on in like the 90s and stuff, where I would say where you would have women who were dieting and that was a conflict. It's always been a conflict, eating something different than the rest of your family versus eating something you can all eat together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not meal prep? I mean, that would teaming up with like trifecta or something like that versus Jenny.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, I know. So I'm not, you know, I ended up choosing to leave the company. Just, you know, like I said, personal beliefs. So I wasn't going to work for a company where I wouldn't have made that suggestion to someone that I'm personally training. Yeah. So I ended up leaving, and I worked for a year for the Muscular Dystrophy Association. And during that time frame, I got my teaching license because I thought, you know what, I want to go into teaching. That was part of what I did with Curves, and I really grew to love teaching. I was teaching adults, so I thought, oh, this would be really fun to teach kids, and I love physical education. And you know, I knew that there was a huge obesity epidemic going on with kiddos, unfortunately. And a lot of that stems from what they're learning at home. But I think PE teachers, well, any teacher, anybody in the school system that they see so regularly can make a huge impact on their lifestyle and you know, teaching them healthy habits. So I went into physical education. And so I taught for a few years. I've taught K through 12 PE. So,
what year was that you got your
20 it was like 2013.
Okay.
And then really started teaching full-time 2014. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just in a regular school setting?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I was in a public charter school to start, and then I've also taught at a private school. So I've done kind of a little bit of both public and private, and then I have done every grade level, K through 12. So it's interesting. 8th grade PE is, I wouldn't say my favorite, because I remember in 8th grade not liking PE. You know, I mean,
awkward.
It's awkward, especially for girls, and you're changing out, you know, I mean, it's just awkward. So I totally felt for them. So they were, oh gosh, they kept me on my toes.
That's amazing.
The little kinders, oh man, kindergarten PE, that is a blast, let me tell you, because they come in and they are ready to run. They just want to run circles around the gym. They think it's a blast, you know, it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm so curious, the psychology behind what happens with children and their excitement for physical activity, and then this, you know, like a laziness or,
yeah.
You know, like what is is it messaging? Is it, like you said, influence?
I think, you know, the influence is there, but it's getting so easy for everybody to be lazy now because of technology. So I think technology and time too. I feel like even kids, but adults especially, you're overcommitted in so many areas of your life that physical activity and trying to make a healthy meal just kind of, goes out the wayside there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And everything that's easier is a step in actually the wrong direction. Because you think you're saving something, but actually, like, you think you're saving time, but you're actually probably taking years off your life with every time you make one of those decisions to do something that's easier. I think that's one of the things I love about the bodybuilding industry. And there's like this underlying base of every person that gets involved in bodybuilding and fitness is that it's like, no, I like a challenge. I like to be disciplined. I like to push myself. I like to put effort into something. We're not people that just kind of like are trying to find the easy way out.
No. And I learned that, I got into bodybuilding late, 38. I think I was 38, maybe 37 when I started bodybuilding. Any kind of bodybuilding. And I learned very quickly the dedication, the amount of time it takes. Because a lot of people say, bodybuilders, that looks easy. Let me tell you, it is probably the hardest thing I've ever done out of any sport I competed in. Because even after college, I competed in some other things. And bodybuilding's the hardest for me.
Funny that you say that after going through the rigors of gymnastics, where I was thinking, I mean, it's a lot to put a child through, but as an adult too, you have all those other responsibilities as an adult, like paying your bills and having a job and then trying to do a 24/7 lifestyle.
Right. Well, and then, as a kiddo, so growing up in gymnastics, the demands were really, really high. But like you said, it was school and gymnastics, and that was in homework. And that was really all I had to be responsible for or think about. But the other thing too, is we didn't really have to think about nutrition. So bodybuilding, on the other hand, is, so much nutrition. And that was brand new to me and so difficult for me.
Yes, you're so submerged in the physical aspect of it. So now you're adding this other element that's actually the other half.
Yeah. And it's a huge part. I competed in CrossFit and then Olympic weightlifting one time. I did it once. And then powerlifting one time. But before I was my powerlifting competition, I had some donuts. And so, and then bodybuilding comes. And my coach, Trish Warren, love her to pieces.
Nice.
Like, here's what you're eating. And I was like, oh man, there are no donuts on that plan. Like, there's nothing in there.
Sugar. Where's the fat and sugar?
I know. Like, I need a little bit. No. Okay. So, but yeah.
Very cool. So how did you, when did you find your husband along this line? And then how did you get hooked up with Trish and then go from there?
Okay. Yeah. So, after college and then, I was out here in Texas working for Curves. I really wanted, something to get competitive with again. I kind of missed that competitive spirit a little bit. I think when you're an athlete, you kind of always have that itch. I'd run a couple 5Ks, but that really wasn't doing it for me, I guess. And I wasn't really training for it. It'd just be the fun fundraising 5K,
Yes.
And so someone opened up here in Waco a CrossFit gym. And I was like, oh, what's that? And it has some gymnastics components to it. So started doing that. Sorry, this little guy's getting a little testy. I might hold him in a minute.
But, I would if I was there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know how it goes. It's like anything to keep him calm. But so got into CrossFit, competed in that for a while. And that was really fun. But then, over time you get a little bit tired and you look for something new. But within that time frame at the gym, at the CrossFit gym, that's where I met my husband. So I remember seeing him in the gym and thinking, oh, that's a handsome man right there. But normally in the gym, I'm there, I've got blinders on. I'm here to work out. I'm here to get my stuff done. I don't need to talk to anybody. But I remember seeing him and he, says the same thing. And he was the one to initiate and strike up conversation and everything. But it's a funny story real quick. I was there at the gym and I remember seeing him walk in and he had a beautiful woman with him. And and she's Asian. And I was like, oh, of course, he's got a beautiful wife, you know, and he's American. So I didn't put any pieces. I did not think they were related in any way. And so it's like, of course he's taken. This is before we ever had a conversation really. So, you know, I knew who he was sort of just from the gym, but of course he's got this beautiful wife. Ugh, everyone's taken, you know, and, but that was his sister. So, and I didn't know that she was just coming to the gym with him that day, but I had no idea. I was just like, well, whatever. He's taken.
How old were you at the time?
Say 35 maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're like
around 35 because it's been, yeah. Okay. So yeah, I had no idea. And yeah, of course I'm 35. So you start to think, gosh, is this ever going to happen for me? You know, even my students would be like, Coach Katie, how old are you? And I didn't ever mind. You know, age was never a problem for me. I don't mind it. So I'd said 35. And they literally said this. This is a 5th grader. She said, oh my gosh, what happened to your life? She goes, you're running out of time. That's what she said. So, you know, that gets in your head. So of course I see him walk in with his sister. They look nothing alike. I'm thinking, I am running out of time. And he's taken. No.
Well, the freaking dating pool in your 30s is like, you know, it's
tougher.
Oh my word.
It gets tougher. Yeah.
That is a charitable statement. It's tougher.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So that's where we met, of course, a gym. You know, no one's surprised when they hear that. You know, of course you met your husband in a gym. And so that's when I was doing CrossFit, and then started to dabble with Olympic weightlifting a little bit and powerlifting a little bit. And then while we were still dating, Jason, my husband, he loves bodybuilding. He has loved bodybuilding since he can remember. He remembers as a child getting a weight set for Christmas and just loving it. But, you know, he was always the skinny guy in school, you know, never able to build any muscle, but he just was enamored with the sport of bodybuilding and has followed bodybuilders for years. And he loved going out to the Arnold Sports Festival as a spectator. And he would just love the expo, taking in all of the events and all of the bodybuilding. And he would go. He had been going for several years. And we were dating. He goes, hey, do you want to go to the Arnold Sports Festival? And I had kind of heard of it. You know what it is. It's huge. But I had never been. And I thought, yeah, that'd be pretty fun. Let's go check it out. You know, they've got CrossFit there. They've got power lifters, Olympic weightlifters, huge expo. So we were having a blast there, walking around. And he was like, let's go to the bodybuilding finals. It was the Friday night finals. This was 2018. Okay, so 2018. Yeah, I guess February or March, whenever they were hosting the Arnold then. Yeah. And we went to the finals, and I always remember thinking, you know, I've been a tomboy my whole life, to strap on heels, number one. And I mean, I didn't really realize you've got people that you've got a glam squad that do your makeup and your hair, you know, and your tan. But in my head, I'm thinking, I don't wear makeup. I mean, I can't do that. And to walk across the stage in heels and pose, like that's just, I don't know that I could ever do that. But then we saw the fitness finals, and I didn't know that division existed in bodybuilding at all. I had no idea. And so we saw it. It was Friday night finals. I saw the fitness division. I saw Whitney. I think Raya was competing too. Oksana was competing was she competing that year? I think she was. It's all kind of a blur to me now, but I just remember seeing them. Kate was up there. Anyways, we saw them all, and I just thought, well, I've done gymnastics. This would be kind of cool. I don't know if it's too late for me. I think I was 37 at the time, and who knows? I just didn't know if it was, if I was gonna have enough time, if it was too late to do it. And I didn't realize how the age of some of the women competing, which we were the same age, and I had no idea. So anyways, next day we were walking around the expo, and Trish and Branch were at a booth. And so he was like, oh, I want to go talk to them. So we went and, met Trish and Branch, did not talk about bodybuilding or anything like that. I actually, I'm going to be real honest. I did not know who they were at the time because I had never followed bodybuilding. My husband was, like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's Trish Branch Warren, you know, and he said that with pretty much every bodybuilder we saw there. He was just, you know, loved it. But I did not know them. And I didn't know their history because I'd never followed it. I was into CrossFit and powerlifting. So that's kind of the world I was following at the time. And we even took a picture with them. So I've got a picture from that Arnold with Trish and Branch, just, you know, the spectator fan picture, right? But we get home and some friends of ours said, you know, Trish was in the fitness division. You should contact her and see if she's coaching and would be willing to coach you. So we did. And make a long story short, we went up to Dallas and met Trish and just kind of talked to her a little bit. And she said, yeah, I'll train you. And in my head, I was thinking, we're going to train for like at least a year before we even try to do the cut, you know, before we cut or whatever. At the time, of course, you know, bodybuilding language just was foreign to me. So I thought we'll train for a year and then we'll see what we want to do. And anyways, that first meeting, she's like, well, no, we've got a contest in 16 weeks. I think you should do it. And so I did. I did the Branch Warren Classic 16 weeks later. And that was my first bodybuilding show.
Did you, when you look back at that, how did you look good, or did you look like somebody who wasn't entirely prepared, who didn't have much of, like, I don't know what you look like for that first show?
Oh, I have pictures on my Instagram. I will forward them to you when we're done. So you can see. I looked fit. You know, I was in CrossFit and powerlifting. So sure. I would say I looked fit and strong. I looked strong. So I had muscle, I had a really good foundation of muscle built already. I will say that, just from years of lifting with CrossFit and powerlifting. You know, of course, I'm going to have a really good base of muscle. So I don't want people to be fooled. If you see my pictures, especially my bodybuilding pictures, that was years of preparation of building muscle. Yeah. And then, you know, so I was fortunate to come into bodybuilding with that foundation already built somewhat. Yeah. But then, you know, you start adding in isolation lifting and the nutrition aspect, and you get to reveal kind of what's underneath of everything. Yeah. So I was fit and strong looking, but definitely had some softness to me. I'd say, I guess, you know, it's like really, really off season look, I guess.
Yeah. What, how tall are you?
I'm 5'7".
Oh,
so you're kind of taller on stage. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you know what your weight was around that first one?
The first one, when I was on stage, my stage weight, probably in the 140s.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because I know, so once I turned pro, and I know I ended up weighing myself, I think before the Arnold, and I want to say 150 on stage.
Wow.
So we were able to build some more muscle, but yeah, that was my 16 weeks. I did my first show, and I did fitness division. So when I started bodybuilding, NPC, they had made changes to the fitness division. You only had to perform your routine. That was it. There was no physique round anymore.
Okay.
Which makes me sad. I really want them to bring that back for the fitness division because that's part of it at the pro level.
Oh,
you're going to have to do that, you know, and it's bodybuilding, you know, this is bodybuilding. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't sorry.
Yeah, so you only have to do your routine. So knowing that though, Trish, this is really smart. So I think anybody, if you're listening and you're interested in getting into the fitness division and you start at that NPC level, I suggest, you know, of course, competing in fitness. So you're going to perform your routine in the morning, pre-judging, and in the evening. But I really think you should sign up for figure also. Yeah. And so that's what I did. I did figure and also fitness, so that I was just already preparing myself, you know, for what's to come. If you get your pro card, you're going to have to be judged on your physique as well. Mm-hmm.
That's really interesting because I guess I've seen very little local, you know, amateur level fitness. So
yeah, it's not as popular. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you don't realize that they're not doing the, you know, the mandatories, the quarter turns like they do on the pro level. So, oh my gosh, you're right. You're missing a whole element there if you're not practicing it in some way.
Right. And then if you're not, you know, and even if you don't want to compete in figure at a show, at least know that you need to be working on your physique. you know, because if your goal is to earn that pro card and then compete at the pro level. But I was really thankful we did that. And, you know, if you don't, you're going to earn your pro card, and that's awesome. But then you may take some time to really have to work on your physique before you feel, you know, comfortable getting on the stage. Mm-hmm.
So you did that first show, the Branch Warren Classic. Mm-hmm. Did you competed in figure and fitness for that show? Oh, so she already started you right in. That's awesome.
Yeah, she did, because she knew that rule change. So she said, this is a rule change. And so you should do both divisions. Now I say that to people. So if you're listening and you're thinking about doing that, every division you sign up for an NPC contest, you know, it costs money. And so, you know, of course I say, yeah, sign up for both, do as much as you can. Cause the more time you have on stage, the more comfortable you're going to get being up there, you know? But it all costs money. So I get that too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and I think I remember John Jewett always used to say, like, you know, like when they go to, like, they travel to do a show and they'll get there like 2 days prior to when they even need to be on stage the first day. And he's like, I realize this is more hotel costs, but you put in all this time. And especially if you're on the pro level, it's like, this isn't a time to try to save a couple $1,000s.
Oh no. And especially at that pro level, or if you're, you know, multiple shows in at the amateur level, even, you know, your first show, I get it.
Yeah.
But if you've been in this, it's really worth it to invest in those kinds of things, getting there an extra day early so you're comfortable, or can, you know, especially if you're flying. So trying to get rid of some of that water, some of that bloating, it's really good to get there that extra day or so early. And then hair, makeup, and tanning, that's another thing you should not skimp on.
Yeah.
Don't skimp on that.
Yeah. Always see the person on stage that did their tan themselves.
Yes, it makes a difference. So I would go with the people that are tanning at the show. Or, you know, sometimes they've got multiple vendors doing it at the bigger shows. So, you know, you go with who you want, but get someone to do it.
Don't go to like a salon.
Yeah. Oh gosh. And the hair and makeup. I mean, there's no way I would never try and do it. I would never try and do it myself. And some people are really good at that. So if you are, awesome. Like, I'm really jealous. Wish I could be that way, but I've got to pay for that.
Yeah. And it's expensive. I know when I did my one junior national show and I did hair and makeup myself, because I've always liked doing that type of thing. But like, yeah, it was like $400 for 2 days for hair and makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is expensive. Yeah. Hair and makeup, that's about right. $300 to $400 you're probably going to spend. Yeah. And then your tanning is usually running $150 total for all of your coats and that kind of thing. But then you get the backstage help. So, but like you were saying, and like he said, now's not the time to cut costs.
No, that's why it's always,
you've worked too hard to not show off everything on that stage. Mm-hmm. You don't want to walk off the stage. This was like my main motivation throughout any bodybuilding training I did. I didn't want to walk off that stage having any regret or thinking I should have done this or I should have done that. You know, I wanted to walk off stage knowing we did everything we knew to do. And then you can be happy with any outcome at that point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you don't have this as much with fitness as far as posing goes, but I know you have, you know, your routines that are important and getting those elements in there. But I feel like posing is one of the things that people cut costs with big time. And it's agonizing to watch some of these beautiful physiques come up and then not know how to present their, you know, how to present themselves at all. And you're like,
right. You're so right. Posing makes a huge difference. You know, physique, you guys there's a routine involved. So there's a routine aspect, but even for figure and fitness too, at the pro level, we're judged similar to figure. So we have the same kind of walkout, you know, model walk, if you will, and your introduction walk, and then the same quarter turns. But, you know, presentation, transitions, you know, it's really good to have a coach. And I'm really thankful. Trish, she did all of that for me. So she was my posing coach, my, you know, weightlifting coach, my cardio coach, my nutrition coach, my fitness routine coach helped me splice music together. Yeah, she was my person. And so I was thankful for that. But it's so important being able to be confident out there. That was, aside from nutrition, figure posing, it was so foreign to me. And I was so scared to do it. I had no idea what I was doing. So that I practiced, my figure posing more than my fitness routine.
Yeah.
Because for me, the gymnastics came easier. I still had to practice the routine because, there's a cardiovascular component to it. You got to be able to do it and actually get through it. So there is practice on that, but I had to practice figure posing so much more because that was just completely foreign to me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like a lat spread and learning how to, just do a lat spread is such an important element just for training because you're able to connect to a muscle that you would never normally know how to flex.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
that took me a while, and I was nervous because I could not do my first meeting with Trish. I could not do a lat spread. Yeah. I could not get it to happen. And I remember thinking, I can't be a bodybuilder. I can't even do this one simple thing. And then eventually something clicked and it happens, but
it's not simple though. I think it took me like 6 months to be able to, and it's exactly what you said. All of a sudden something clicked and you're like, oh, now I see where they are and how they open up.
Right. Yeah. And it's different. And then, I suggest just practicing. When you're practicing your posing, it's not just so that you're comfortable and confident. It's so that you've got the endurance with it because, you have your introductory, walkout, if you will, and those poses. And that is your own timing, or I think at NPC level, they give you 15 seconds. And I think for us, we got a minute. I'm not real sure if I don't know, they have a stopwatch out there, and they don't just shove you off the stage, but that's kind of your time frame there. But when you're doing quarter turns and the judges are looking, you don't know how long they're going to hold you in there in that pose, and it's excruciating. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and switching you around and all that stuff as well. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Switch you around, run you through quarter turns. They're mandatories again. There's an endurance aspect, and you're depleted for the most part. You're, at least of fat tissue depleted. So
yes, you are, and so you're cramping up there. Even when you're not, up in that front doing quarter turns, and you're in the back just waiting, you're still posing because the judges are watching you all the time.
Always be posed, always be smiling. And I would tell people, don't be watching the other girl do. You're always looking at the judges, smiling.
Yeah.
Wait, your mind and your face does way too much when you start watching what other people are doing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. No, that's right. So that was just foreign to me. And so I'm really glad we started working on that right away at the NPC level. And then that's why I did figure also at the branch warren. I didn't do so great at that one, but
you did it.
Not in figure. No.
Oh.
And it's probably because my posing, we worked on it. It was good, but I went out there and was just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And am I smiling? Or I was like a robot.
Right.
Once, the lights hit you. Mm-hmm.
There's different tricks to that. I used to tell my posing clients, like, don't smile a big smile when you first walk out, because if you hold a big smile, you can't hold a big smile. So I'm always like, you have a closed mouth smile with your eyes when you walk out. And then when you hit poses, do a big smile.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that you're not like, your face is cramping.
Right. Oh, I know the whole thing gets hard, but figure wasn't, I'm not sure how many were in the class that I competed in, but I think I got 4th or 5th in figure, and I won fitness, but so anyways, it was a journey getting all of my posing down and that kind of thing. So
then how much time did you put into an off season before you stepped on stage again? And how long did it take you to get your pro card?
So we did Branch Warren. That was in July of that year.
Okay.
2018. And I had won Fittest, so it qualified me for nationals. But I wasn't sure if there was a nationals that was hosting the fitness division again that year. But we looked and there was one more nationals in Pittsburgh that was going to have fitness, and, talked to Trish and thought, should I try this? And it's the same deal. At nationals, even you are not judged on your figure at all. You only do your routine. Okay. And so that was going to be it was late August. So it was almost a month, maybe a little bit over a month after the Branch Warren. So we didn't really have an off season there. We just kept working routine. And we did keep working on my figure, but we knew I wasn't going to have to present my figure there. So it was, cutting, we did cut, you still want, fitness is really showing your physique in motion too. So you still do cut weight, and you still, you're going to look like a bodybuilder, but we don't necessarily had to do all the posing. And I wasn't quite as dried out there either, because and that was kind of nice. I had a little bit more energy so to do the routine. So anyways, did routine. I ended up winning my class and earning my pro card there. And so we went from the Arnold going, oh, that's really cool, I think I want to try it, and then competed in July, earned my way to nationals, earned my pro card at the end of August that year. And that's when we went into an off season. So it was kind of August 2018. And I thought, okay, well, I'll do a pro show in 2019. That'll be my first pro show. Okay. And I was actually going to compete kind of early, like springtime that year. We were looking at some shows to do in the springtime. And we thought, that'd be a decent off season and then be able to start prep again. But I ended up having to have surgery in March of 2019. So I had fibroids that had just grown and started to impact other organs internally. So they had to be removed. And so that was a pretty last minute thing. I hadn't started prepping or anything like that, but I was thinking, well, gosh, so the surgery was called a myomectomy. Essentially, it's like a C-section. So they go in just like a C-section and take out the fibroids and then sew you back up. And so it was a significant recovery, but I still wanted to do a pro show. I thought to myself, well, I earned my pro card. I should at least do one pro show in my lifetime, because I got a pro card. So we should do it. And that's what I was telling Jason. And he was like, yeah, I agree. And I wanted to do it that year because I honestly didn't know if I would ever do one if I didn't do it that year. If I didn't say, let's do this, let's get this ball rolling. I wasn't sure if I would keep myself motivated to do it years after that, if that makes sense. And so there was a pro show, Legion Sports Fest. And that one was, I think in 2019, it was held in November in California, Long Beach, California. And that was the last fitness show of the year, or fitness pro show. Cause fitness isn't at every pro show. So we don't have as many shows to choose from, but I get it. I mean, it's complicated. They've got to have a reinforced stage for us. And, fitness comes with complications sometimes, but we're really fun. We're really fun to watch and have around. So I wish they would have us at more shows, but we really have a blast. But it's funny. I was going to say that another thing that I didn't even think about is when they do fitness, they do the fitness first because they don't want you guys sliding around on everybody's oil. Yeah. So, which was crazy. I've got a story about that at the next Arnold I went to because we were last and I was scared, but it worked out. No one fell. So we were fine. So, but the sheen across the stage. I know. It's like, don't touch these areas, girls. But in case sometimes the stage is carpeted and sometimes it's not, but yeah. So anyways, we decided let's train for Legion Sports Fest in November of that year, and go out to California and do that one. And that was, I worked really hard the very first prep I ever did, leading up to my first NPC show. But it's like anything, once you kind of get into it, you know what you can do differently. Okay, I can go harder, I can do better, I can do more. I can be more strict with myself. And that's kind of where my head game was at, was I'm going to put everything into this, and I'm going to sacrifice everything, because I want to come off that stage knowing I did every single thing I could, and, have no regrets, basically. So it was a pretty miserable prep because I put everything into it. It was tough. But we went out to that show, and I remember saying to Jason, this is it. After this, I am done with bodybuilding. This is excruciating. I'm ready to try something different or just relax for a while, but this is going to be my only show. And he's so supportive. He was always, whatever you want to do, babe, I'm there for you. So, and I was really excited because I was super happy with the package we were bringing to the stage, with my routine that we were bringing. I was just so excited about it. But I did not expect the outcome, which was that I won. And because for some reason, Legion Sports Fest, if you win, you do qualify for Olympia, but you also are automatically invited to Arnold. And so I was like, we're not done. I thought this was my last show, and it's not. So we kept going after that, but that was a surreal experience. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. What a dream.
It was a dream. I thought, I didn't expect that. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So that was in November, and the Arnold comes along again, usually first weekend in March.
Yep, that's when it was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was first weekend in March. So it was mid-November, that was Legion's. And so I think I had 2 weeks kind of off, and then we started prepping again, because it was from Legion's to Arnold. I remember it was 17 weeks between the two. So the prep was going to be shorter. I was already super lean. So, it was just trying to maintain. Yes. And then, prep a little more. So it was rough. I was cranky a lot. You can ask Jason. I felt bad for him. I was cranky a lot.
It is a lot of semi-dieting for, you were like that for about, 2 years? A year? Year and a half?
Well, or that was a full year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, full year. Yeah. So Arnold was early March of 2020.
Yeah.
And so this is, I know, it was right when COVID came out.
Yeah.
And I remember the night before we were flying out to Columbus, we got I saw on Instagram that the expo had been canceled.
Right.
And I was like, are we going to be canceled? Are we still going to have a show? I'm prepped. I'm supposed to walk on a stage in 3 days. I am getting on a stage, and someone's going to look and clap. Okay. Because we are prepped. This is happening. I bet all of us bodybuilders were, all of us competitors were thinking, well, I'm getting on some stage somewhere, because we did too much work. But they ended up keeping the show. So we weren't allowed to have spectators, though. The morning pre-judging session, initially they said no spectators.
Okay.
But then they said you can have one loved one person. Sure. So Jason was able to come in. But gosh, it was empty Coliseum, except you're one person. So there were some people, you got the row of judges and then some people out there, but I'm just really thankful we were able to keep the show going,
Yeah. I remember, I don't remember now if it was, I think it was Sarah Kovac.
Oh, she's great.
No, she's really great. She was telling me in her interview how, she's like, we kind of thrive on the audience. I think Missy said the same thing too. The audience gasping when you do something, and it's just like, it's like you can hear a pin drop and you're like performing. She said it was like,
and the judges, they're judging, so they've got straight faces, and it's like, you like this? Are you liking what I'm doing? It's just crazy. And my routine was, so I was dressed as Freddie Mercury from Queen. I had a mustache. Okay. And so, yeah, to not have not have as much audience involvement in that kind of thing is just like, oh, wah, wah, So we cheer each other on though. I mean, I don't know if you've seen fitness girls backstage, but we have fun. We have a lot of fun. I don't know if it's annoying to other competitors in other divisions, but we just have a blast with each other and we root each other on, cheer each other on. I just love that division.
Yeah. There's a special bond there. I know, just because you guys put yourself through, I always call it 2 minutes of fighting for your life, because you are, you like, yeah. Put through Auschwitz or some sort of a camp where you've been starved, and now you have 2 minutes to fight for your life. And it's incredible. So, and you all know that. So I think that's where the support comes from, that experience.
Yeah, I think you're right. Mutual respect.
Super cool. What were your routine? Did your routines, were they themed every time you did one? Can you tell what
the first routine I ever did, it wasn't really a theme. It just, I used Evanescence music and had like a black costume on and just performed that. So there really wasn't a theme. The next routine I did was the Freddie Mercury routine. And so that's the one I did at Legion's and at Arnold. Hold on. But that one, sorry, I know people can't see that. It was like my baby's getting a little fussy. So but so that routine, I remember thinking, gosh, I need a routine theme. I don't know what to do. And I went to the movies and saw the movie Bohemian Rhapsody. Have you seen that movie?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So saw Bohemian Rhapsody. Hold on, bud. And I thought, I'm going to do that. I want to be Freddie. And so we spliced together a bunch of Queen music, and I dressed up as Freddie Mercury. And I remember thinking or texting with Trish, and I was like, do we do the mustache or not? And she's like, you got to do the mustache. And so I did. I ordered it off Amazon. You can Amazon search Freddie Mercury mustache. And I ordered it. I had to trim it and everything in it. And you glue it. There's stage glue. I had to glue it to my face. So
incredible. That's awesome. My daughter is huge into music. She's very musically gifted, and she was Gene Simmons of
love that
for Halloween. But can you find that routine? Yeah, you'll have to. I'll send you a picture. You is your routine available when you did that somewhere that we can watch?
I think so. I think I have it on my Instagram, and it is also online. Yes, it's online. So I'll find those. I can send it to you. But so that's the routine I did. I did start making we made a new routine for Olympia. I ended up not doing Olympia. I pulled out of that because of a back injury.
Okay.
So that was a bummer. I was super bummed about that. But I did have a new routine for that. And that one was actually going to be kind of military special forces theme. I've got a huge spot in my heart for our military because I love freedom. And so I just have this giant, massive amount of love and respect for the men and women who have fought, who continue to fight for our freedom and so that we can live our life. They sacrifice their life so we can live ours, and their families sacrifice a lot too. And so I thought, you know what, I want to do a special forces theme, and then I can have a fake gun on stage. So that's fun too. So anyways, that was going to be the next one. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. You were going to talk a little bit about your, he's so daddy.
Oh,
no, I don't want to.
You're fine. So what was that?
You were going to say why you were such an advocate for why you're so pro-life. Does it have to do with you working with the children that were like Special Olympics, or?
No, I mean, that probably is part of it, but and this isn't something I've talked a ton about. I've talked a little bit about it, but I've had an abortion, and so this was a while ago, and I won't get into like all of the factors you know, in my life at that time. But I know why women are walking in to get an abortion. I know what fears they're facing, and circumstances they're facing. And so I'm pro-life, not only because I know now that that is a life inside of you, but for their life. So I know what having an abortion is going to do to you. And it's going to affect you every single day of your life after that. And so there isn't a day that goes by that I don't go through the entire experience in my head again. And I just know what they're going to go through, and I don't want them to have to experience that. And I know now that there are places out there that will help you, you know, with all of those fears that you're facing, whether it's financial, medical, family. It could be a situation of rape, of something, you know, a situation of abuse. And they're going to help you not only have fight for life, but also fight for your life. Mm-hmm. So that's why.
Can't even speak.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't make you cry. I got this guy crying and you crying now. What do I do to people?
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, that's it. And so, you know, there's like those two extreme sides where it's like, no, it's just a choice and people can choose, and that's that, and it's up to them. And then there's the other extreme side of just, you shouldn't have an abortion because it's just evil and it's just bad, period. And I don't like either of those. You know, there's a middle ground, and we've got to meet women at that middle ground, you know, and talk to them about why they're walking in to that facility, and let them know the options that do exist to help them, because I did not know any of those options. I thought this is the only option I have, and I have to do it now. And, you know, so. Mm-hmm.
I think that sometimes they get lost in the fact that, you know, like I said, this is a hill I will die on, that it's not just about me saying it's wrong or even being judgmental.
Right.
I know of people who have had abortions as well. I understand when, I was, younger, especially if I had been put in a situation like that. I don't know how I would have responded or what I would have done.
Right.
But I think what you said is really important, informing people and providing them with comfort, knowing that there are choices once you get to that point of being pregnant, and, outcomes beyond that, because there are reactions to everything that you do. And people don't often, especially when you're younger, it's really hard to comprehend the long-term consequences of, the decisions that we make.
Yeah. Well, and, there's, I think, a lot of people in the pro-choice group that say, well, what if it is a woman that is raped, or what if it's, a situation like that, or even like a trafficking situation, or someone in an abusive relationship. So if she doesn't have this abortion, she's going to go back and something horrible is going to happen to her. Well, just allowing her to have that choice is not an answer. It doesn't solve the actual problem. So, I get it. She at that moment thinks that choice is the best thing for her. I would have thought that too, for sure. I have thought that. But I don't want her to go and make that choice and then go right back to that really awful situation she's in. I mean, how is that helping her? So we've really, really got to do a better job as a society to meet those women where they're at and really help their life first, Mm-hmm.
It's a lie to say that getting rid of the baby will solve the trauma of whatever happened. That's not any more than I believe, this is a whole other topic, but I don't believe that, people transitioning from, with transgender, it doesn't solve the psychological trauma or problems that initiated why they're feeling, this way or whatever either. I'm a huge advocate for mental health. And, sometimes when you just get a chance to talk about, what happened and be honest. And then, like you said, be given choices beyond just, because like you said, it doesn't erase. And now I know that would be me, because as somebody who's had 2 miscarriages, I think about all the time, I'm like, Anna, what if you were you know, you had 2 siblings. Can you imagine if there was, I think about that often because I only have 1 child. So yeah.
Oh, such a heavy topic, but it's one I'm really, really passionate about now, because of my experience with it.
I appreciate you sharing and being so open about it. And like I said, it gives me an opportunity to say, hey, here is someone who is probably relying on God's grace every day for,
And God's grace is real. If anybody needs living proof of that, then that's me, because of the choice I made that I regret, and that I have to ask forgiveness for every day. Even though I know he forgives me, I still, it's really hard to get through, but I have a child now. And so, I mean, if there is any other proof of God's grace, that's it. He gave me a child.
Yeah. He's like second chance.
Yes. And that's the Jesus I know. And that's the God I know. Yeah.
Yes. That is the God that I know too.
Oh, I love it.
So wonderful. Well, Katie, this has been so fantastic.
I loved it. We got to do it again. This little guy's trying to get involved in this conversation now.
Oh, so great.
Yeah. So great. He's probably hungry. I am too, though, all the time. I get it.
We're just not allowed to cry about it.
I know. I wish I could just cry and someone feeds me. But this was so fun. I loved it.
Yeah. Hey, what are you doing now? Are you able to stay home with him, or?
Yes, I am. I'm in a very fortunate situation that I'm able to spend the days with him. So I'm really, really thankful for that. Jason's doing so much for us, busy at work. He's an oral surgeon here in Waco. So he is busy, but I'm so thankful for this situation right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like a really great testimony to the faithfulness of God. You probably had a timeline for your life and a plan, and it was completely different than what God had expected for you.
Totally. If someone had said to me, when you turn 40, you're going to get married that year and have a baby, I would say, you've lost your marbles. What are you talking about? As my student said, your life's over. Ready? Oh, man. He's getting pretty testy.
All right. We'll wrap it up so that we can. Where can people find you if they're looking for you?
Oh, okay. Well, I am on Instagram, and my was it called an Instagram handle? Is that what they call it?
I think that's.
So you would know the terms, and that I'm 40, so is that how that goes? It's Katie Beck _ IFBB Pro. Okay. So that's where you can find me.
Perfect. So you guys can find me on Instagram at buffcake22. You can follow the podcast at the Women's Fittest and listen to us any place that you find a podcast platform. And thanks for listening, watching, like, share, subscribe, leave a written review, 5-star review. All those wonderful things help share and promote the podcast. And remember that healthy looks different on everybody. Have a great day.